So traders, I want to really encourage you because we're getting towards the end of 2024 now. And I really want to encourage you to not give up, right? Not give up, not give up. No doubt that nine out of 10 people, 90% of you guys watching this video right now have had a red year this year in the markets. When it comes down to your trading, when it comes down to your approach, when it comes down to your thinking, okay? I just don't want you to give up. And I don't want you to allow maybe your upbringing, your childhood, or what other people said to you, or what your brain is telling you to stop you from moving forward next year into 2025. When I was growing up as a kid, I really hated school. I found it hard in school. I found it hard to do math, right? I found it hard to read or write. I was always in the lowest class. I only did grade 10 or year 10 and then I left. And, I was always the dumb kid of the family. I come from a family of 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and mum and dad. So 9 people altogether. And I was always the dumb kid of the class. And the only qualifications that I could do when I left school was laboring. Like, I went and worked for my father's landscape laborer. And then I did car detailing for a while. And then I did brickies, construction laboring and all that sort of stuff, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up to you guys right now is because, and there's so many times where, I remember one time I was a car detailer and I was washing the boss's car, and this stuck with me so much, right? It stuck with me so much. And I was washing his car, and it was a really, really nice car, right, at this stage. And when I was washing the car, I said, "Oh, how much is this?" And he said, "More than you'll be able to ever afford, pal." He used these exact words, pal. I remember him saying pal. And him saying something along the lines of that, "More than you'll be able to ever afford, pal." And I'm like, right? I went, "Fuck you." You know what I mean? What's going on there? And so I really was like, oh my goodness, here's this guy, and you name it, right? And the thing is that my upbringing and my skills and all that sort of stuff were just and then I suddenly had my friends, right? And then my family's like, "Who do you think you are? You're not a finance expert. You don't have any finance degrees. Who do you think you are to become a good trader or good in financial investment person," and so on and so forth. And then I went down this path of just having these people say this, right? And because I was always the dumb kid at school, I was always having that in my mind. Now, thank God, my vision of what I wanted my life to be was so much stronger, that the pull of that was so much stronger than my current beliefs and my current things around that. Because now what I know, after 20 years of being involved with this industry, this trading industry, and trading the markets, and I'm having a really successful year this year. If you'd like to see my equity curve, if you go to getjohntop.com, there should be the 3rd link in the description there. You can actually see my real equity curve for this year. But the whole thing about that is that now I realize that actually to get ahead in the financial market, you don't have to be smart. You just got to know the right type of, you got to know the right thinking, right? And I was speaking to a guy today. I'm like, that most people think the same way. They're sheep, they're herd mentality, and therefore they get what most people get, right? What we're going to do is we're going to think, how do we think the opposite? Because to be part of the few percent, we need to be part of the few percent. And what do the few percent do? They don't think like the 95%. And what do the 95% do? 95%, when it comes to the financial markets, guess what? There is no sort of path, there's no process. And that's the same thing for me, right? It's once I started to realize that me actually trying to be smart, trying to be clever about the economic data and what the Fed's doing and what the inflation's doing and what that means for next year and what the war's doing right now and Trump being elected and the debt bubble, and me trying to be smart by taking that information and try to be smart about what the market's going to do, caused me to lose money. But then my mentor of 30 years said to me, he said, John, I don't want you to be smart. He said, here's a trading pattern. I want you to follow this trading pattern. And the more time you can consistently follow this trading pattern, the better you're going to be as a trader. He said, so don't try to be smart, don't try to add all this other stuff. He said, your job is just to scan the markets every day and wait as long as you have to, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, until this trading pattern appears in the markets. And then when this trading pattern appears in the markets, I want you to trade it. And when you do trade it, this is how I want you to manage it, and so on and so forth. And if you can do that consistently throughout through 12 months, you're going to have a successful trading year and you're going to have a successful trading career. It's as simple as that. He said, but when you go outside the lines of this trading setup, this trading pattern, and by the way, in my free trading course at johnsfreegift.com, the link in the description there, I'll give you my free trading course. I actually teach you my trading system in my trading course, right? There's a whole massive trading course there. And the very first video I teach you in that trading course is my actual trading system there. But that's when I started to realize that that's what it takes to get ahead, right? It's not about how lucky you are or how smart you are. The reason why I struggled so long when I first started trading 20 years ago, the reason why I struggled is because I didn't know, right? So I went down this massive rabbit hole of learning about everything. And because you just don't know, right? You know yourself, right? Like, what do I focus on and what do I do? And and you learn about everything and all these markets and economic data and YouTube videos and all this sort of stuff. You learn a lot of stuff. But then you realize that you actually don't make a lot of money from that stuff. And when I just started to veer more towards just, here's the exact pattern I'm looking for. Let's go find the pattern. And it's not going to come up, and understand that it's not going to come up every day. And it might be a week until you see it. It might be 2 weeks until you see that pattern appear. But if I can be patient through those, no trade today, no trade this week, and just wait for the pattern, when it does appear and I trade it, and I trade that, yes, I'm going to have my losses, but I'm going to have a successful trading year. And if I could just do that same thing again and again and again and again, the same thing every single day, I don't have to guess. I just have to look for the pattern, get in, have my losses, let my profits run, then I'm going to have a successful trading year. Right? And that's when everything started to switch for me. And then I realized after all this time, I actually don't have to be smart. People are like, oh, ADHD, you can't focus, you can't read, you can't write, bad at math, right? All this sort of stuff. I realized that. So I really want to sort of gear you towards that if you are struggling this year, I guarantee you're struggling because you're trying to be, you think it needs to be complicated. You think you need 100 different indicators, or 4 or 5 different indicators, stochastics, RSIs, MACDs, and then overlay that with the economic data and the inflation and Trump and the debt bubble and the war in Ukraine. And you see what I'm saying? No wonder it's so confusing for you guys. But I'm sort of on the other side here now, just sharing with you that you're probably struggling because you think it needs to be complicated, one. And secondly, you think you need to be smart, right? But the only way that I've been able to get ahead in the markets is if I try to be smart and I try to get into what I call a thinking trade. A thinking trade is, this is the pattern I'm looking for. Let's go find the pattern. Cool. This setup rules. They make money most of the time. But if I say, well, I think Bitcoin's going to $110,000. Let's go long. I think gold's going to go to $3,000. Let's go long. I think the mining sector is going to go down right now, so let me go short. See the differences there? So there's the differences from people, and this is what I've just learned through I'm very fortunate that for the last 10 plus years and my last 20 years of trading career, I've learned that, especially from my mentor who makes millions and millions of dollars a year, like on a low level, my mentor makes seven figures a year. On an average, it's multiple 7 figures a year. And then we're talking in 5 million plus per year. Like, it's an amazing trader. And so this is where, like, modeling success, right? And understanding the process there. That's like with me, with my coaching program, I take it what's taken me 20 years to figure out about the right thinking and the right mindset and the right approach and how to look for the trades and so on and so forth. And if you're interested in joining that for next year, then if you go to Get John's Help, she'll be third link in the description there. And I'll speak to her on the phone and I might be able to help you out with it. But the whole thing about that is I'm trying to give you some guidance through this process here, that my background about people telling me that I couldn't do it and all this sort of stuff. And then me thinking that I needed to be smart, and because guess what happens when you watch a lot of these YouTube videos, what do? They talk about all this economic data and all this sort of stuff. But I need to be able to have a repeatable process that I can use for the rest of my life. And then that's when I got unstuck, right? And again, my big eye opener for me was when I found someone who was successful for 30 years. Success leaves clues, right? Then I started to realize that if I actually wanted to be a good trader, investor is a different mindset, different approach, okay? This is trader. You're looking for opportunities, get in, hold it for a little while, get out, so on and so forth, right? And rinse, repeat throughout the year. Then I have to start to, if I actually want to be a good trader of these markets, then I have to start to think like, how does a trader actually think? A successful trader. And I'm telling you right now, all successful traders, doesn't matter, they all trade different systems. But the number one thing is that they stick to that system. There's consistency throughout the year. And one thing I found is that when I consistently stuck to my trading setup, I consistently did really, really well out of trading, right? And that's something I'm trying to share with you guys, that if you've had a rough year this year, don't give up. But next year, realize that don't do the same thing over and over again. Right? If you are approaching the markets where your last 10 trades have been different from everything else and you're guessing and all that sort of stuff, and you really have no plan of attack, you really have no foundational, then that's when you need to invest in your own education. If it's me, you can apply for my coaching program. If it's someone else, go deep within that, right? Just go deep within that. But I started off with this video by saying, don't let people stop you, okay? Because you can do this. You really, really, really can do this. Now, it's hard, right? It's hard to apply a little bit of discipline to say no to all these other maybe trades, and then it's hard, especially this day and age, to be patient, waiting a week, sometimes 2 weeks for a really amazing trade to come up. That's where the hard part comes involved with, right? And that's the reason why I'm with people for 12 months every day, because I need to hold your hand, through the emotions, through selecting the right trades, through letting your profits run, not letting your emotions get involved, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope this helps you out there today, traders. Once again, this is more like a 10,000 foot view for you guys for this entire year. And my only hope out of this video, guys, is to give you some light into next year about some things that you may need to focus on next year, if you actually want a good year next year. And also to give you some hope and some guidance there about that no matter what your upbringing is, right, you can really do this. In fact, the smarter you are about the economic data and stuff, the worse of a trader you are, because you start to let all that impact you. And all I do, guys, and this is it, I have one type of trading setup that I'm looking for, right? And my job is just to wait for that trading setup. And when that trading setup that meets my rules appears in the markets and I find it on a stock, when I trade it, I'm going to have a high win-loss ratio. I'm going to have good profits. And I have found that 20 to 30% of those trades are going to be really, really big profits as well too. And all I have to do is every single day, guys, is the same day for me. I'm looking for the same setup and the same entries, the same thing. Everything is the same for me. And when you have that consistency of the same every day, that's when you can start to move forward in the right positive direction.